Alright, hey, HadesOmega here, and welcome to another after action review for Wednesday Night Drags, okay? So this is the after action review for Wednesday Night Drags, June 30, 2021. The very last Wednesday Night Drags of June. Man, June is, I went to all the drag races in June, and it's like almost every week, yeah? And there's always something crazy happening every week. I'm not lying, dude. Anyway, so this week, the commute getting there was like the worst, man. It just like every week it progressively gets worse. I know HadesOmega is complaining about it, but you know, it's important to be able to get there on time or early so you can get all your runs. So HadesOmega missed the first run, okay? So what happened was I tried to leave early today to make sure I got there at a decent time, alright? So last week I got there right before the first run. And the week before that I got there right when they were doing the second run, okay? So this week I got there right after the first run, basically. So I didn't get to do the first run, is basically what happened. Story is, it was all smooth sailing till I got to San Francisco. San Francisco has just been like a shit show the last couple weeks, man, I'm telling you. It's just, there's traffic on 19th Street all the freaking time. It's all beat up and they're doing construction on some kind of stupid construction on it. Yeah, man, I'm telling you, it's just every week it gets worse and worse. And this week was especially worse, alright? So I left home at 1 o'clock, alright, 1 o'clock. And I didn't make it there until 4 o'clock. Jeez, 4 o'clock or 1600 for you military time folks, okay? Yeah, it was really, really bad, okay? The traffic on 19th Street was really bad. It was backed up pretty much almost all the way to Golden Gate Park, all right? And so what had happened was one of those FJ Cruisers and a box truck crashed. They got into a crash, and they were blocking literally the whole freaking street that I was driving on, okay? The other way wasn't blocked, but the way I was going was blocked. So yeah, I got stuck in freaking gridlock for like more than an hour, okay? And so what happened was they had to divert the traffic around it, alright, and then get back on there, and that's what took so long. It was a freaking nightmare, man, I'm telling you. And then, yeah, so because we were so late, we were stuck in traffic for like an hour. There was like traffic, alright? The usual traffic. So if we had left earlier, we wouldn't have run into this traffic, but we did, okay? So that took even longer. And then there's the usual traffic that before the racetrack, after there's these street lights. Well, generally the traffic is usually up to the street lights, alright? But now it was like maybe like an eighth of a mile back or something. So yeah, I ate half of my sandwich on the way there, okay? I tell you, that's how long we were waiting, dude. I was just like, yeah, I might as well just eat now, man. So yeah, I get to the track. I watched the first runs on my phone on YouTube as I was sitting in traffic waiting to go to the racetrack, okay? So I get there, and then I tech the bike, and I paid the $35, and I tech the bike, and then I go line up, all right? And then I'd already missed the first run, so I was like, oh well, I get some time to get ready for the next one, so whatever. I got all my stuff on, put the bike in line, and then we wait for the second run, okay? And so something interesting happened that that doesn't happen very often, okay? We had a freaking tailwind, alright? It's been a while since we had a tailwind. At the beginning of the season, we had a few days of tailwinds, and I was like, yeah, man, we're going hella fast. We're getting their best times on the light beat, yeah. Anyway, let me talk about the bike, all right, before we get on with the racing festivities. So I talked about it in the race video, okay, before we went racing, but it's pretty much in the same configuration it was last time, except I have the lifting link on it now, okay? So that what that does is it rakes the bike, all right? It makes the back higher and the front lower. So it'll prevent the bike from wheeling, okay? So that's one thing I wanted to test out, all right? So it's like, so yeah, if the back is higher than the front, it shifts the weight to the front more. Okay, so you'll have less chance of the front coming up, okay? So, and that's what you want in drag racing. You don't want the front to come up. At least you don't want it to come up a lot, all right? But I'm not gonna lie. You know what? This bike doesn't really have problems launching, man. I don't have problems with like the more powerful bikes. I don't have problems spinning the tires. I don't have problems doing wheelies or burnouts and stuff like that. It for the most part is pretty tame, all right? Pretty tame, which is good. But you know, so one thing I noticed is since the front is lower, it feels more normal now. Like, it feels like it did before I put the new forks on that with the taller handlebars. It feels like the handlebars are lower and I can get my weight on the bike. Ideally, I would think, I think if I increase the rebound a lot, the rebound dampening a lot, so when I compress the forks, it'll come up slower, and maybe that might keep the front coming up. All right. Yeah. Anyway, so I have the lifting link on there. All right. So I was gonna test that out, and another thing I've been testing out is I've been upping the power for the motor output. Okay. So before I was running 421, and when I was tuning this bike in the beginning, I noticed I'm getting a lot of stuttering and it's cutting out and stuff. It's like over current and stuff. And lately the bike has just been really slow. It's been kind of like a dog, man. I don't know. It just feels sluggish. It could be that maybe I've just kind of gotten used to the power. It's not as powerful as it used to be. I remember this thing used to be scary fast, all right, and it's just not that fast anymore. And so every time I go out for DoorDash or I'm playing around with the bike, I go to the motor options, I move it up a little bit, and so I've got it all the way up to 459 amps right now. Okay, now I don't think it'll actually pull 459 amps. Maybe in the right conditions it might. That's kind of like the max power, all right. So the max power you pull is you can't it won't do that all the time. Like whatever you can get, whatever bottleneck there is, the battery or the motor, the controller, whatever bottleneck there is, that's what you're going to get. Okay, so just because you put 16,000 watts, when you twist the throttle open, you're not going to get 16,000 watts. You're going to get whatever you get, depending on the RPM and the load on the motor, how heavy I am, that kind of stuff, all right, or the temperature. But yeah, I had it up to 459, all right. So it was, and I had the field weakening all the way to 40%. I think that's what I did last time. Last time I jacked up the field weakening all the way to 40%. So whenever we drag race, I'm just gonna make sure the field weakening is up to 40%. I think for more kind of like endurance races, or just like a motocross race, I think you kind of want it 20 or 25%, okay? Like I said, the bike has just been feeling slower lately, but you know what? It's been pretty tame lately, all right? Before, it would just kind of throw a fit if I tried to run too much power through it, and now it just seems fine. I don't know what happened to it, but it's kind of mellowed out, I guess. Okay? So anyway, first run comes along, all right? So that's the bike, all right? And I ran the 21700 pack this week, okay? And it was 100% charged, all right? Yeah. Okay, so we're gonna talk about I only got 3 runs tonight, so this is gonna be kind of a short AAR. Yeah, okay. I don't remember who I was racing, but I was on the right side, and there was a tailwind. Okay, so they had already gone before, and there was also a tailwind there, and then everyone was getting their fastest times. There was a legit tailwind. That's the one where the wind is at your back and it's pushing you, yeah, dude, this is your time to go fast, HadesOmega. And sure enough, we did. All right. So here's what we ran. Here, I got a reaction time of .040. Holy crap, that is really good. That's really good for HadesOmega. Okay, anything under like .1 is excellent for HadesOmega. Okay, .2, that's you can do better than that, HadesOmega. You need to tighten up your shot group. Okay, but .040, that's enough to duke it out with like anyone there. Okay, I'm telling you, if you can continue to do that. All right, so I had a really good launch. I think I deep staged. I set the bottom bulb. I set the upper bulb. I went forward until the upper bulbs disappeared. Okay, so that's what you call deep staging. That's you move the bike like farther into the staging area so you can get so you can trip the beams faster. Okay, and that got me a .040 reaction time. Really good. Okay, good job, HadesOmega. I've never run a perfect launch before though. Alright guys, so my 60 foot was a 2.543, my 330 foot was 6.553, 660 foot was 10.171 at 66.48 miles an hour. So just think about it, alright, at the 1,000 foot, alright, at the 1/8 mile, alright, well we ran a 13.476, we ran 1,000 on 1,000 foot. We were already at 66 miles an hour at the 8th mile, okay? And our ET is 16.471. Woo! That is literally my fastest time. I checked I went to YouTube and I looked at my fastest runs, and sure enough, it was almost a full second faster than my fastest run. So yeah, we broke a new record tonight, all right? I challenge anyone with the Light Bee to try to beat my quarter mile time, okay? 16.47. I'm sure there's somebody out there that could do it. The question is like, yeah, you got to go out to the drag strip and do it and get your papers, man. All right. Anyway, and I hit 73.3 miles an hour. Woo! That's really fast, man. I don't know what happened, man. The bike just went really, really fast. It's like that tailwind helped it get up there. Okay, I'm not gonna lie. And I went through all the stats. Yeah, we hit 13 kilowatt plus, all right? That's normally, 13 kilowatts is what this will run when it's doing good, is what I'm going to say. Sometimes it'll go 12.5, you know, but we were going 13 plus, okay? 13 plus. I'll put pictures of the stats for the whole run, all right? We ran 8,600 RPM, 8,600. That's how 8,600 gets you to 73 miles per hour, apparently, with the 48.2 sprocket. Okay, yeah, so it was just fast, man. I remember I staged and I took off, you know, like I normally do, and it's just like, it just took off, and I can hear it. I can, the first thing I noticed was like, damn, my bike, it's really loud right now. It's like, it was just a screaming, it's this high pitched kind of screaming sound going all the way down the drag strip, and I'm looking at the speedometer like, oh shit, we're like at 70 miles an hour already. We're going really fast. so yeah, I think that the max speed I've ever had this bike at is at like 79 miles an hour, and that was like on the freeway going kind of like down the hill a little bit with the wind at my back. Okay, so yeah, that was a really, you know, that was a really, really good run. So I'm gonna frame this one. All right, that's how good that was. All right, on 5:03 p.m. on June 30th, 2021, HadesOmega ran a 16.471 on a Sauron Light Bee. All right, at 73.3 miles an hour. Yeah, that's freaking awesome. All right, so yeah, I got a new fastest Light Bee time. All right, I challenge somebody to beat it. It's okay. All right, so just because you say your bike is faster doesn't mean it's faster unless you have the time slip to prove it, though. Okay, so you got to have a time strip. You got to take your bike to a drag strip, and none of this GPS stuff, no GPS devices. You got to go to the drag strip and get a time slip. Okay. Anyway, second run. All right, so yeah, we had the second one was only like half an hour. Let me see. It was moving pretty fast. Yeah, it was, oh, okay, it was about like 40, 50 minutes, all right? And there wasn't too many cars at night. I think everyone it's 4th of July, Independence Day coming up this weekend. I think a lot of people just kind of left town already or something because there was so much traffic on the road. So anyway, second run comes along and I get a .174, 60 foot of 2.514, a 330 foot of 6.597, a 660 foot of 10.357 at 62.49 miles an hour, 1,000 foot of 13.927, and we ran a 17.159 at 68.38 miles per hour. So we got slower. We got slower for by like half a second, all right? So what happened from the last run to this run was the wind kind of changed a little bit, all right? By the time we got up to the tree, the staging area, what happened? I think there was before there was a visible tailwind, all right? You can see the flag. What I use for a wind indicator is the U.S. flag, okay? They have the U.S. flag up there, all right? The U.S. flag was blowing in the direction of the strip, okay, for the first run. For a second run, it was just not doing anything. No wind. Zero wind, all right? There was no wind, all right? And so from tailwind to zero, no wind is like a half a second difference, all right? That's a lot, dude, in drag racing, half a second. Holy moly, right? And we still went 68 miles an hour. The bike still went pretty fast. So juicing up the controller, you know, telling the controller, hey, you know, you want to pull more power, it got me more power, dude, and all that field weakening. It's freaking awesome, yeah. So, but anyway, so the problem is we missed the first run, and we did our second and third. We did the second and third run, all right, already. So we only got 2 runs because we missed the first one. So that is a problem because the first run we got, and so the wind changes every time. So you see how crucial the wind is, how crucial the wind plays a part in the times the light beat gets. Okay, the light beat, the biggest drawback to racing the light beat is its arrow. It has none. Okay, the arrow is like freaking horrible on this bike. Okay, when the faster you go, the more you're fighting the wind is what I'm gonna say. And if the wind ain't helping you, then yeah, it messes up your times, all right? What you want is consistency in bracket drag racing. If the wind changes and your ETs change, then that's no good, okay? Your dial is gonna be messed up, okay? So what? It looked like we were gonna get a 4th run because I think if the racing hasn't started by like 7. You might get a 4th run because that's what happened last week. All right, it wasn't as busy last week, and yeah, so we got a 16.4 and a 17.1. It's like, well, what do we dial? That's like a huge gap right there, dude. That's half a second gap. So what would I pick? Well, I'm pretty sure we ain't gonna run the 17.1 anymore because the wind has died down. All right. In fact, by the time elimination comes around, the dreaded headwind is back. Okay, the dreaded headwind coming. That's the wind that goes against you on the racetrack. Okay, it's the force that slows you down. All right, and so I line up against Doug. All right, so like everyone is saying like, oh yeah, we don't really know what we're gonna run on our dial. You know, your times could change. You know, drastically. You know, and everyone was trying to get their fastest times because they got the tailwind. That doesn't normally happen, okay? Like I think Joe in the Hayabusa, he nearly got an 8-second pass, okay? He got like a 9.13, okay? 9.13 seconds on the quarter mile. That's ridiculously fast. He almost broke into the 8s. It is nuts, right? How fast that is. Just because the wind blew behind your back, right? Yep. So anyway, so I don't really know what to dial, okay? So I said like, you know what? Why don't we just dial up a little bit? All right. We're definitely going to go slower because the wind is still the wind is blowing. There's a headwind now. Okay. Last time there was no wind. Now there's a headwind. So we're definitely going to even go slower than. We're going to go slower than 17.1. All right. So So I said, like, yeah, you know what? Why don't you just try not to break out, still keep it kind of low. So I dialed up 0.2 of a second, okay? 0.2 of a second to 17.3, all right? We went from 17.1 to 17.3, all right? And yeah, I was thinking, like, yeah, you know, we might go slower. I was thinking of doing 17.5, honestly, because I thought, like, yeah, we're probably going to go a lot slower because of the freaking wind. Well, anyway, I went with 17.3. I said, like, nah, play it safe, don't break out. I raced against Doug, all right? Doug is my drag racing senpai, okay? he's the dude that you want to beat, all right? He's the dude that you want to be, okay? That type of thing. He's really, really good, all right? Well, I said, like, yeah, you know what? Maybe he doesn't really know what his dial is. Too bad. We're all in the same game, man. We're all in the same game. So everyone's in the same boat. Like, we don't really know what to dial because the wind keeps on changing, you know? But the problem is, like, it affects this bike the most, all right? Their bikes, they're heavier. They got fairings and stuff on them, you know? We don't have anything like that on this bike. That's okay? So, yeah. All right, so I line up against Doug, and I dial a 17.3, and my reaction time at launch is 0.144. Not too bad. My best of the night was 0.040, okay? But that's, you know, we did better, so why couldn't you do any better, HadesOmega? I remember the front came up just a tiny bit, and it went back down, and off we went, all right? And the bike felt slow. Like, yeah, it felt much slower than the first run and the second run. I knew we were going to go fast. I felt it was about as fast as it normally was. Okay, it was normally that fast because the wind is normally, you know, pretty strong. All right. So reaction time of .144, not too good, not too bad. But against Doug, that's not good enough. All right, and we'll take a look at his numbers in a second. 60 foot was 2.590. 330 foot was 6.746. 660 foot was 10.603 at 60.84 miles an hour, and 14.304 at the 1,000 foot at the 8th mile. So you remember, like, we were already getting pretty close to 70 miles an hour in the 8th mile at the 1,000 foot, all right, on our first run. That just shows you how big a difference the wind makes, okay? And maybe full battery, I don't know, but I don't think it was that. I think it was the tailwind, you know. And so we got an ET of 17.756 at 63 miles an hour, all right? So 17.7 to 17.3, we're off by like more than 0.4 of a second. That's huge, okay? So we went from 16, was it 16.7? No, we went from 16.47 to 17.1 to 17.7. All right, so we're progressively, so you can remember this for future reference, HadesOmega, okay? If you don't really know what to dial, if there's, depending on how much wind there is, if there's no wind, all right, you'll progressively go slower, okay? From tailwind to no wind was half a second. All right, from no wind to headwind was half a second. Okay, so you just remember that whenever if you see that flag change direction, you know, or do nothing, it's gonna affect your time by half a second. All right, so that goes to you to show how important aero is on this bike. So yeah, all right, so here's what Doug ran. All right. Doug ran he dialed in at 13.23, all right, and his reaction time was 0.043. Really good. That's what HadesOmega got for his first run, you know. And those are the time, like I said, those are the time of reaction times that you want, all right. Less than 1/10 of a second, all right, you want. And Doug ran it, all right. And so he got an ET of 13.416 at 80.69 miles an hour. So Doug ran 13.4 and he dialed in like a 13.2. He was like less than 0.2 off from his dial, okay? HadesOmega ran a 17.756 and he dialed in a 17.3. And so that puts me at more than 0.4 of a second. So we definitely lost, okay? And then you got to factor the reaction times in, all right? You got a .043 versus my .144. His reaction time was almost 3 times as fast as mine. Okay, so yeah, I don't know what happened on the reaction time. HadesOmega, I thought I did really good on it. You know, I thought it was a good run, but apparently not. It's not good enough to beat Doug. Apparently, all right. Yeah, so Doug wound up squashing us like a little bug at .3719 seconds. Okay, so he beat us by .3719 seconds. A lot, dude. It was not a close race at all. I remember when we finished, when we crossed the finish line, Doug was like two bike lengths ahead of us already. So yeah, Doug killed us. All right. So yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I normally don't like to race against Doug in the first round because then I don't get to beat other people. I like whooping up on people. Well, what can I say, man? But yeah, I said like, you know what? I might have a chance to beat Doug tonight because nobody really knows what to dial in because the wind keeps on changing. So, but like you can see how big a disadvantage this bike is against the wind. Okay, so it's like. It doesn't affect the other bikes as much. I mean, yeah, I know Doug is riding a naked bike too, but it's like got an 800cc motor in it, so it doesn't really care that much. That's what I'm gonna say. All right, but yeah, it just affects this bike a whole lot, man. If the wind changes, all right. So like it affects us greater than it affects the other bikes. So I don't know what we could do. One thing we could do is maybe get some clip-ons, but I mean clip-ons would help with the launching. I don't really think it would help with the aero all that much. Maybe because I'm already like tucking down as much as I can. I'm pretty sure the wide handlebars, they're not helping either. Because your hands are like out here, right? That's not the way you want them. You want them like in here. You want to make a small you want to make as small like as a silhouette as you can. All right, So you're like a smaller target, all right. If you're taking up less space, there's less wind resistance, all right, hitting you, all right. There's less wind hitting you, and that means there's less wind resistance slowing you down, okay. So yeah, that just goes to show the change in wind. It just is really what's killing us, okay. If the conditions stay the same. Everyone plays by the same set of rules, Like if the wind changes, it changes for everyone else. It doesn't really all matter, but it matters. It matters for us even more, okay? For me and the Light Bee, because the wind affects us even greater than them. All right, so it kind of evens the playing field when the conditions are the same, okay? If the wind stays the same constant throughout the whole night, like. If there was like no wind the whole night, tailwind the whole night, headwind the whole night, if it never changed the whole time, then that would be great because then that would give us consistent times, all right? I'll tell you this, yeah, when the Light Bee was stock, the wind did not affect the Light Bee all that much because we weren't going that fast. We were doing like 21 seconds. Now this bike is just ridiculously much faster than it was before, right? We went from like a 21 second to 16 seconds, like 5-second difference, all right? That is freaking amazing. That's all I can say about how I made this bike go 5 seconds faster than it was when it was stock, all right? It's mind blowing, simply amazing, right? But the conditions have to be right, okay? That's what I'm gonna say. You have to have like a tailwind, You have to have the wind pushing from your back. All right, I remember on the return lane on the first run that so much wind was hitting me on the way back because of the wind was going in the other direction, and that's what you want, But I can't control the wind all the time, so you're just gonna have to pick up on these things. So now, but you know what? After going over these 3 runs, like, yeah, we know like more if you have no wind, if you go from no wind to tailwind, that's half a second. You're going to go half a second faster, all right? If you got no wind to headwind, you're going to go half a second slower, all right? And then another thing we can formulate, all right? So this is part of the AAR process, guys. How we could do better, all right? So now I have like data for like next time for this bike, all right? So that would mean if it went from a headwind, all right. I wish I got the wind speeds at those times too. It would make it even more accurate, right? But if you went from a tailwind to a headwind, your ET will change by like a full second almost. Okay, so then we'll know. Oh yeah, let's dial back a second if we get a headwind now. So that kind of stuff. So now I have more data to go off of for next time. All right. And yes, indeed, the bike did seem faster. I don't know when the first run, dude. The bike was on fire, dude. I'm telling you, it had a full charge, 100% charge. I juiced up the power all the way, 459 max motor amps. It hit 8,600 RPM, like 70. What was it? 73, 74 miles an hour, 73.3 miles an hour. That is fast, man. I'm telling you. The bike just seemed so fast. All right, and I had a great launch too, man. If I had just been able to just keep on doing that the rest of the night, then we would have destroyed everyone. No, I'm not gonna lie. The rest of the racing that night was pretty interesting too. Okay, so what I think I missed the next round because I was putting my bike away, and then these guys came by and asking about my bike. And I was talking to them and stuff, so I missed that run. But the next run, I think Tyler, the dude in the Ninja that we raced last week with the DR, he lost to Doug, and then so it was the semifinal, and it was Doug, Tom, and Joe. Okay, the guys are normally there, the veterans, all right, and. I think Joe got the bye run because he was the odd man out, right? And then Tom beat Doug, all right, and that's pretty awesome, dude. Doug is the guy. Like I said, Doug is the guy you want to beat, all right. If you legit beat Doug, and Tom legit beat Doug, he got a better dial in. You know, he got closer to his dial, and he got a good reaction time, good enough to beat Doug, all right. So. And Doug didn't break out or anything. He was on his games, and Tom beat him. so hats off to you, Tom. Good job. You beat Doug again, all right? So one of these days, HadesOmega is going to legit beat Doug. And I don't want to beat Doug like with, he broke out or something, or he stalled his bike, or he wheelie. No, I don't. I want to legit beat Doug. I want to beat him like Tom beat him tonight, okay? That has more meaning for me, so let's say. But yeah, Doug is my drag racing senpai, okay? So is Joe. So the final race comes along, and Joe and Tom race, all right? And I got these ones on video, the last couple races. And so Tom breaks out, and Joe takes the win. Joe didn't break out, all right? And it was a really close race, and they have excellent reaction times. I think Joe had a 007, all right? 0.007 reaction time. That's 7 thousandths. You're 7 thousandths off from a perfect takeoff, all right? And Tom was .003 or .004, all right? Even closer, even better reaction time. So it was a great launch, all right? Also, the race with Tom and Doug, dude, their reaction times. I mean, their dial-in times were so close. I think it was 3.13.3 versus a 13.23. Yeah, they literally almost took off at the same time. So it was like a real drag race, you know. That's what I'm gonna say. None of this handicap stuff. So yeah. So and I have to say, like, even Doug is really good, man, because like he had to wait for me, all right? A lot of people, they don't like racing me because they don't like to wait, all right? I've never had to race against somebody and wait. It must be agonizing the time that, you have to wait for your light to turn green after they go. Because you're ready to go, and then, like, they get to go, and you're like, come on, you're watching the light. When to go? When do we get to go? When do we get to go? To tell you, like, yeah, Doug is running, like, what, 13s? Yeah, Doug is running 13s, and I'm running 17s, so that means Doug has to wait, like, almost 4 full seconds before they let him out, okay? So and that takes a lot of concentration, It takes a lot of concentration to have to wait, for, like, 4 seconds. 4 seconds is like an eternity in drag racing, okay? So yeah, and Doug still destroyed us, okay? So that just shows you how good he is. He's very focused and concentrating, and that's how you want it. But a lot of bracket drag, well, a lot of drag racing in general is in the launch, okay? If you can launch your bike, and then launching your bike is the hardest part. It's like, flying an airplane. Well, what's the most dangerous part of flying an airplane is the takeoff and the landing, right? Well, in drag racing, the most important part of a pass, your drag racing pass, is the launch. Okay, whether you can get a good launch off. You don't want to spin the tires, you don't want to wheelie, that kind of thing. Fortunately, we don't have that problem with the Light Bee. Okay, the Light Bee is very tame. It's very behaved. Okay, it could be really wild and just freaking start spinning tires or just popping wheelies. Like I couldn't race my KLX at that drag strip because the front would just come up all the time. This bike is very behaved. Okay, this was one of the reasons I like racing it. Okay, and I do good in it, because I know this machine well. Okay, and it did really good tonight. All right, 16.4. Holy moly, that's the fastest pass I've ever done. All right, I am proud of that. All right, good job, buddy. We did it. If I can get a lighter rider, maybe we could get it to go faster. All right, that's what I'm gonna say. But I don't think I can find anybody lighter than me, man. So yeah, okay. So that was Wednesday Night Drags, June 30, 2021, and yeah, the wind was playing games with us again. Is all I can say. Oh yeah. I have to say, in between the third practice run or my second practice run to the elimination round. The ambulance had to go take somebody to the hospital. Right, one of the workers got sick, and they had to be taken to the hospital or something. They needed the ambulance. Okay, so if the ambulance isn't there, we can't race. Okay, because if something happens, then yeah, you got no ambulance. Somebody gets hurt, then they can't rush them to the hospital or get first aid to them. Okay, so that's what kind of killed it for our practice run, unfortunately. And you know what, that happens every night, dude. It's always something. Okay, a car blew up, there's oil all over the track, a car crashed into the wall, those kind of things. They chomp at the time, and then they eat up your runs. Okay, so because of that incident, okay, the ambulance wasn't there. We didn't get another run, and having another run would have helped us a lot, okay, because the wind changed. All right, the longer you wait between runs, the more conditions change. All right, it gets cooler, the wind changes direction. All right, so for one thing, if it does get cooler, if you have like an internal combustion engine bike, it's going to have more power. If you got cooler air, it's more more oxygen dense. It's going to make more power. Okay, this bike not so much. All right, but this bike seems to be faster when it's warmer. Okay, because the battery likes to be warm. All right, the electrons flow better when it's warmer. Okay, so there's a certain temperature everything likes to be, is what I'm going to say. But the odd thing I've noticed about this bike is the more you run it throughout the night, the faster it gets. I don't understand that, but in tonight's case, it was a little odd. Yeah, it was like the backwards of what it normally is. This bike usually gets faster throughout the night. That's what I've noticed, and it should be getting slower because when the voltage drops, you should have less power. The motor can't spin that fast, type of thing. But that wasn't the case tonight. The later the night went along, the slower we got. Also, they didn't. I asked them if I can get a practice run in. Normally, if you do have extra time, they'll let you do it, and they wouldn't let me. I was like, oh, come on, man. And I told them, like, hey, I only got like 3 runs. I got 2 practice runs and 1 race. And they're like, nah, you can't go again. I'm like, come on. So and they had just like raised the fees for the track and everything to go drag racing. I'm just like, what the heck, man? I feel like, I know, if it wasn't for that fast first pass, I would have just like, yeah, man, this night kind of sucks, man. I got stuck in all that traffic, and then I only got like 3 runs. Yeah, I would be like super pissed, but I was like, well, all right. After getting that really fast pass, I didn't really care anymore. I was just like, yeah, whatever happened. That's why I raced Doug. Okay? I said, like, yeah, maybe we'll beat Doug. Let's see. Well, whatever happens, happens, man. That's what racing is. All right, so, yeah, there you go. That was Wednesday Night Drags, June 30, 2021. Thanks for watching. It was an interesting night once again, all right? That's what racing's all about, man. You never know what's going to happen. One of these days we'll take home that first place trophy, all right? It's been third place. I didn't even make it to third place this time, all right? I had a good chance of winning tonight. And not really. I have to say, like, everyone's run towards the end of the night were really, really good. And I was like, damn, dude, I don't think I would be able to keep up with these guys. It's okay, guys. Bracket drag racing is not about whose bike is faster. You know, it's about how well you can launch your bike and how well you can predict it will run at, by the time it crosses the finish line. All right, so it doesn't matter how fast your bike is, man. It just matters how well you know your bike. Okay, that's the secret. Okay, and so tonight we actually learned some stuff about it. All right, okay, so yeah, I think we're going to stick with this power. Hopefully it does okay. I don't know how it's going to do in the heat, but it's been behaving itself, okay? So if it doesn't, I'll just turn the power back down, okay? I had it at 421 amps for the longest time, and I decided, yeah, you know what, let's turn it up a little bit. This bike feels kind of sluggish. Let's turn it up. So I turned it to 459. Maybe we can go higher. I'm not sure. And then whenever we drag race, we'll keep the field weakening up to 40%. But I noticed it doesn't make a difference. Like if there's a lot of wind, it's still going to be kind of slow. You're not going to get past 60 miles an hour. But I did notice it did help. The bike was a little faster tonight, so I think all those little tweaks helped. Okay, and I think this lifting link, it helps too. All right, I felt like the bike was easier to launch. Like I can get on top of the bike a lot easier. Okay. Like, I remember, like, yeah, we would just go, and then I was like, oh, well, no drama. I put my foot on the foot pegs. Generally, what I'll do is I'll let my foot dangle, all right? So if the bike comes up, I kind of, like, I try to, by letting your leg dangle like that, it allows you to put more weight on the front to keep it from coming up, all right? And then, so if I know if I don't feel like it's going to come up, and I'll put it on the foot peg right away. Okay, that's what I've learned. Nobody taught me that. I just kind of learned that on my own. But I kind of watched the other racers do it too. So yeah, that's just one of the techniques I've learned in drag racing. So it probably doesn't work for all bikes. It's kind of dependent on your bike, but it works pretty good on this bike, is what I want to say. All right, maybe the DR probably not so much. Is what I want to say, but yeah. So yeah, HadesOmega. That's why we do AARs. We have to find out, what things we did good and what things we could have done better, type of thing. Okay, so I think just to do better, we could have just remembered those dial-in times. yeah, and try to get there earlier so you get more runs. But yeah, the weather changed on us. There's nothing you can do about that, man. It's just tough luck. You're just gonna have to, just pick a dial and hopefully you run it, type of thing. Also, another thing is, like, yeah, you could look back. You could look back and see, like, hey, am I gonna break out, like, or are they way back there? If they're way back there, there's something happened, and if you think you might break out, you can roll off the throttle. Okay, so that type of thing. So HadesOmega needs to work on that. All right. But it's tough when you race somebody is really fast because they come up behind you so fast you don't have time to look back. Okay, so that doesn't work against if you have a really fast opponent. If anything, it gives us a handicap because they can see us. All right, they can see us, and so if they think, and they just have to cross the finish line before you. Okay, if they can cross the finish line just a little bit before you, they'll win, and they'll know, like, oh, we want to break out. So that's to keep you from breaking out, because if they just blazed right past you, and they were way ahead of you, it could have been they broke out. Okay, they went really fast. They went much faster than their dial-in time. All right, but that wasn't the case when we raced Doug. We were like off our dial. Both of us were off our dial, but we were off more. Okay, by a lot more. That's what we'll say. All right, that's why Doug was like way in front of us. Like, okay. All right. Anyway, yeah, it was an interesting night. Only three runs, but I had so much to talk about. I can't believe it. Yeah, it just I'm learning a lot. All right, every day. Oh yeah, damn! I almost forgot to mention. I inflated the tires more than I normally inflate them. Okay, whether that made me faster or not, I don't know, but I put like 36 psi in the tires. That's normal. That's a lot more than I normally run. Okay, generally I'll run like dual sport tire pressures like 28 and 25 psi, 28 rear, 25 front, and then I've just been kind of progressively putting them up. You get more tire pressure, you get less rolling resistance. The tire should roll more smoothly. Maybe we can pick up more time, more acceleration with that, type of thing. There's a limit to how much you should do that though, because then you may start doing burnouts and stuff, and wheelies. Not wheelies, but you'll be doing burnouts. Okay, so that's where you got to play with the tire pressure. We don't have to worry about that as much, like I mentioned. The bigger, more powerful bikes, they have to worry about that. Okay, not us. I've never really spun the tires all that much on this bike. There might have been a couple times, I think, but yeah, literally this thing will just get up and go. No drama. Okay. All right. Yeah. So I ran 36 psi in the tires. Maybe we can do. Maybe I'll do that next time. We'll put it at 36 psi. It seemed to be running really good tonight. So let's keep it at 36 psi whenever we drag race. Okay. I'm definitely gonna turn it down when I run it on the street. So to say, because like at 36 psi, man, these tires are supposed to be like freaking rock hard, man. It's just be a shitty ride is what I'm gonna say. All right. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, that's another thing I changed. I made the tire pressure higher, like 36 psi. So maybe that helped. The bike felt really stable too, even at like 70 plus miles an hour. I still felt it was stable. As long as you didn't like wiggle the handlebars too much or do something crazy, then you're fine. I'm not gonna lie, it's a little terrifying going that fast on something like this small, but yeah, HadesOmega's used to it, and I think when I put the new front end on the bike, the new Kilofork, everything kind of tightened up and it got nicer. So I think that helps with stability. The tighter front end is what I want to say. Okay, I just beaten my old fork up so much that it's just no good anymore. All right, HadesOmega.